What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Abandoned Planet. This is the second episode. My name's Joe, and I'm going to be your host this evening and every other, whenever day. I mean, it's not even, it's evening. It's evening. Yeah. We're here. I'm your host. If you know me, I also go by the name A Millennial's Third Eye. And on Abandoned Planet, if you don't already know, this is where I invite you to let go of the opportunity to see things differently, listen to things differently, be observant of life and what it has to offer through my stories, scenarios, different perspectives in which it can possibly help you. There's quite a few different things on my mind that I want to share with you. It's been over a week. I'm due for an episode. This is why we're doing the second episode. I didn't feel it yet, and today I'm feeling it. But where do I want to start? I mean, the last episode I shared a little bit about my path in Santeria, but recently it's been all right. We're gonna start with something I'm really. It's been a minute with. I want to share the first topic. The first topic is I have been pulling back from people. Why? Joe, why would you do that? What's going on? Are you okay? A lot of people were messaging me, or not a lot. Some people were like, three people were like, just kidding. They're like, are you okay? I noticed you're posting. And on Facebook, I want you to hear this first. For the longest time, I was trying too hard. I was trying too hard to, I guess the word is be successful and do good, right? What's the goal here? The goal is to bring more clients in and all this stuff. And that's where my mind was at. And for a little while, I was frustrated because, do I believe myself? Yes. Do I necessarily know what to do all the time? No, I don't. We're all learning. And it started off with that. So for a while, I would go live or do this. And I kept thinking to myself, what do I need to do? So that was a big issue. Something I need to learn, and I'll share with you more later on. But people were going, hey, Joe, are you okay? I noticed your post. Because I got to this point where, I believe that people not only will, I don't want to necessarily say like they do things, but things happen for a reason. And they happen in ways that we're not always looking at. And so I'm not going to say names, and I don't want to put this into a negative context because there's several people that I was like, peace. But one in particular helped me realize something for myself. And I want to share this with you why. There were several different reasons why I chose, and this has been like apparently a thing in the air because I was talking with other people and I was like, oh, you kind of did the same thing. It's just it's a collective energy where people are like, I'm not putting up with people anymore. And that's something I chose to do. I'm tired of people pleasing. I'm tired of wanting you to like me. I'm tired. There's a lot of like connections here. I'm tired of trying to be someone that I'm not personally. Instead of being myself, why am I trying to be someone else? Be myself. I didn't really understand that for a while. But there was someone in particular that I felt off with. And I knew why, but I didn't know why. And I had asked them a question, and I said, are you okay? And they were like, yeah, everything's great. And I was personally a little frustrated with them. And I don't want to say this in a negative way because it's all love, right? So I was like, you know what? I can't, it's not my place to like say certain things sometimes. And I said, okay, are you happy with everything? And they were like, no, really, I'm not. And it's not my place. But my point with that was I kind of saw things and it taught me a lesson, not just with them, but also with me. And that lesson was some people are just in denial. There's a lot of, and this is not just myself because I've experienced this myself, but we'll try really hard because we don't want to fail. We don't want to do other stuff. We don't want to go back to like the 3D world and do this other it's very Soul Awakening vibes. Like, I don't want to go back to the real world and do I want to do my spiritual work, and I'm not saying this person was doing that, but that gives that vibe as I've been there. But we emotionally avoid so much because we don't want to deal with certain things. And I looked at this in a certain way and I was like, wow, you know, my vibes were kind of right in a way to pull away because sometimes people don't want to see what they need to see. And we want to help the world, but we're not helping ourselves. And that's something I need to learn for myself too. I was like, so these things that happen to us, like dating, friendships, I'm someone who's like, okay, let me say what I need to say, and then let me go kind of meditate on it or reflect later on. What do I need to learn from this? So it's all love, but like it's not my place to be like, hey, you really no, but I'm also at the same time within the past couple of weeks, I've been speaking my truth to people. This is something that I've been kind of doing for periodic times over the past couple months, but I didn't realize how necessary I really needed this. And I want to share more with you about this later on, but um, taking your power back is very important. And I really want to talk more about how to do that and why that's really good for you and how you could do it for yourself. It takes time, but self awareness is key. But speaking my truth has been a big thing with people. You know, I'm tired of not saying what I really want to say to you because I don't want to upset you. Not saying what I really feel because how are you going to receive it? And that's something that I've been doing with certain individuals where, you know what? If I didn't care, I don't care. I don't have to say anything. But you know what? I care enough to at least tell you how I really feel. And if you receive that, you receive it. If you're going to defend it and whatever you do with that, it's on you now. I spoke my truth. And some people I chose to speak my truth to an extent because it's not my place to point out what you needed to see. I can't do the work for everyone, and I learned that too. I'm tired of doing the work for everyone. I'm tired of not speaking my truth. So we're going to get into this more, but it's been a journey with, and there's friends that I really, I have love for, but I think that with recent times there's been pros and cons to everything, right? But what I've noticed is that some people need to move on in their journey in a different direction. I need to go in a different direction. I'm going to give you the sum up of my learning experience with empowerment soon, but I also just got really upset with how much I'm willing to do and give for people, but how much I'm really receiving back. And I'm not expecting. I think that there's a mixture of it, right? We can get it twisted. Don't expect anything from anyone, and there's a fine line. And there's a couple different things I'm learning here. Speaking my truth, because sometimes love is unconditional love, and it's not always going to be pleasant. Sometimes the truth hurts. Sometimes people need to hear the truth. The other thing I'm learning is when I'm not speaking my truth, I'm giving more power away to someone. I'm giving my power away to different situations and people, and there's a mixture of that. Then it's like insecurities. Then there's people that, I'm willing to give and do for, and then they just like disappear. And I kind of like everyone does their own thing. Like when it comes to my boundaries, my time, my energy, my friendships, my what I'm doing, I just have more self-respect for myself now. I'm not tolerating things anymore. I think that for the longest of times in recent discovery, I felt I needed to be approved. I needed approval from people. And I'm learning with a lot of this stepping back. I've also recently, if you know me or not, like if you follow my social medias, I pulled back from doing lives, like TikTok lives and Facebook lives and promoting stuff for a bit. Like I needed to really collect myself because if I keep looking for happiness on social media and success, I'm not happy. So I needed to really rediscover who I am, loving myself more, learning about myself more because it was just not clicking. And so by disconnecting from people, like really, how do I really feel about this person or this situation? What do I really feel about this? And so that's what was happening. and I was disconnecting from people and then speaking my truth. And the thing about this is that sometimes not only do you need to say something to someone that they might be upset about, but we can't be afraid, whoever it is, your boss. Like, speak your truth. I don't like this. I think at first, for me, it was uncomfortable. You get a little agitated. You get a little it's nerve-wracking, but I'm not going to limit myself anymore to fit you. Hey, hey, this is how I feel. I really want to say this and I'm going to say it. And that's now I'm being myself. That's authenticity. And I think that a lot of people, I'm going to be blunt here. I'm not trying to be negative, but if I did it, then a lot of people can do it too. And the thing is, we think we're being authentic, but we're not. What is authenticity? Authenticity is it's a whole spectrum of different things. It's being real. And a lot of people, including myself at a point, was like, hey guys, but really I wasn't happy. But really I wasn't speaking my truth. But really I wasn't telling, like, what does that mean? When you actually start speaking your truth, you're being in more of an alignment with yourself than anything. You're not trying to alter anything. You're not trying to find other words or avoid any. You're saying, this is how I feel. This is what I need to say. Otherwise, you're letting this other version of empowerment, you're letting someone else overpower you because you don't want to upset them or say the wrong thing. And now you are below that. You're like disempowering yourself. So I started speaking my truth to people. There's people that I really like cared for. And I still had to be like, you know what? This is how I feel. And I'm actually proud of myself for doing that. Do I want to hurt their feelings? Do I want to push them away? No. But I also can't deny that, hey, this is how I really feel. I don't feel like this is being taken care of correctly. I don't feel really pleasant because where have you been the past couple months? There's people that, and I want this to be clear, like this is for me. I'm expressing messages for you guys so that, the goal here is for you guys to find your self-confidence, to not be afraid to speak how you really feel, but also to be empowered, right? So, you can't be afraid of losing people. I rather let people go than lose myself again. And if I'm going to lose myself again, it's really to learn more about who I'm really becoming again, more. But self-respect, it's also me. If I keep allowing something to happen, not just with people, with myself, that's on me, with people and myself. If I'm doing it for myself and I'm lacking, that's on me. If I keep allowing you in my life and you keep just showing up whenever you want and you're not really respecting me that's on me. So it's self-respect. And I needed to learn to speak my truth to people. There was also another scenario that, as much as I love helping people, there's only so much I can do. And that means there's a certain point where if you aren't really understanding the work you need to do, if you aren't really understanding the depth of your emotional trauma or the past, what the work really entails when I'm explaining it to you as a life coach or a directional, there's an energetic abuse happening. What that means is, it's kind of like someone feels good when you talk to them, but then a week goes by and they're like back to where they were because they're not doing the work. And I was also, I try to help people the best way I can, but sometimes it's also disrespectful. I'm being disrespectful to myself. Why? My time and my energy is valuable. And there's people that I've helped because I love to help. But then there's times where, it's just being abused. And I felt that I wasn't respected properly. And this is also with my learning experience with self-worth. I didn't really have good self-worth for quite some time. I didn't feel worthy of love. So I appreciate people. All these different people that I'm mentioning through this experience that I'm sharing with you, I appreciate them in my life. But there's people in times where we have to realize and recognize for ourselves, is this, how do I feel about this person? How do I feel about the situation? How do I feel? It doesn't have to be about people, but it could be about a situation you're in. Sometimes it's not about going over the list of things because you have pros and cons. Sometimes it's make a decision. And in a spiritual note and a positive note, sometimes we're meant to cross paths for that time and we move on. And that's what it is. And I had this whole kind of realization recently about that. For quite some time, I had these ups and downs, and I'm not someone who believes in labels completely. I think a lot of people find their way out through labels. Oh, I was diagnosed this. I was diagnosed this. Spirituality is a lot more. I'm not saying that you don't have a label. I'm not saying that you should or you shouldn't or what you should do, but I've seen it where we're all looking to label something to be aware more of ourselves, and it doesn't really help. But for me, and I've told people this many times, I can easily probably go to a doctor, which I've never done before this way, but if I really, really did, I'm sure I can easily be labeled bipolar. And I don't believe in that because I believe that spirituality with your conscious beliefs, what you have imprinted in your consciousness, what you work through mentally, emotionally, you can clear. Not everything is, here's a pill, take it. And I went through that my own way. If you're someone who needs something, by the way, sometimes it's medical, like do it. But I'm saying on a spiritual note here, I had my ups and downs, and I was going through this recently with kind of finding myself again. And as I was pulling myself away from what I thought was bringing me happiness, what do you think's going to happen? I don't know what to do, right? So I didn't really know what to do with myself. I wasn't sure how to give myself love more correctly. And that's something that I struggled with for a while, like the misunderstanding of self-love. Self-love isn't all just like, let me treat myself to iced coffee. Let me treat myself to some sushi. No, it's a nice shower, it's a nice bath. It's also work. Loving yourself is doing everything you do for everyone else. But that struggle right there that everyone struggles with is the loving for self. That loving for self is a struggle because you're used to going outward with people and other things. But when you reverse it towards yourself, it's like you don't know what to do. And I talk with myself, talk with my guides. I learned more recently. And the depression, it kind of happens sometimes because we're stagnant. We're avoiding ourselves. We're on our phone. We're looking for dopamine. We're looking to be stimulated. And something that I've learned over the past, I don't know, it's been a progressive thing, but the work isn't always fun. You're putting in effort. You're doing something. And that's the same thing when it comes to loving yourself. There's things that I know that makes me feel good when I do it and I put in effort for myself. We're constantly willing to do things for other people. Oh, I'll do it. We have this hopes that there's a good turnaround. There's this and this, but we don't seem to love ourselves sometimes, and that's a big problem. And I was doing this more and more, learning to separate myself from people that weren't up to, they're not, I don't know, the terms are serving my highest good, whatever. Not that they're bad people, it's just like, I'm ready to move on. And the more I did this whole speaking my truth, the more I was speaking my truth to myself, the better it got. Something I really want to share with you that has happened the past couple days has been a big game changer for me. As I've been mentioning here, I separated myself from trying to do anything, forcing it. And the big goal for me the past couple weeks and months of my summer have been going with the flow, letting go of control, going with the flow, not forcing anything. But what that brings to me is another realization, which is not needing anything particular to be happy, right? I don't need to control a scenario. I don't need something to be happy. I can walk around. And for me, that goes well until like a couple days go by, and all of a sudden it's like, wait, what do I do now? It's because I'm so used to the first couple of days are good, and then it's kind of like, okay, what do I do now? Like it starts to settle in. It gets uncomfortable when you're with yourself because we feel that we can't be happy with ourselves, or we can't, where maybe it's lonely. We learn to love ourselves more. But I chose to get up the other day because I'm a little out of shape. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to go down the road. I'm going to walk around. So I did it, and I went pretty far. I'm pretty proud of myself. And during this time, the past 2 days I've done this, I've really come to some big realizations. The first realization of the day, it's kind of encompassing the same topic here. I really started to ask myself, why do I care so much about what other people think of me? And the reason why I'm saying that is because, my scenario is different than everyone else's, and yours is different, or maybe there's similar things, but what I have or don't have, my living situation, my work situation, my financial situation, we get in our heads about this. And the reason why I thought about this is because I was going down this walk, and it's in town, it's a local. I'm like, what if I see someone I know? And kind of manifested it by accident too. Like, what if I see someone I know, and what if this person and that's what happened. Like, hey, how's it going? They saw me, and it was cool to see, the guy from high school. But in my head, they're like, hey, so what have you been up to? Oh, here's my scenario, and they have a kid, and they're, I don't know, good for them. I'm not saying bad, but I think I personally have been comparing my life to too many things, where I'm at, what I'm doing, what I have. And also I kept caring too much about people's judgment of me, which is disempowering. It's like, I want you to like me. It's not like I'm not bad. Like in my head, it's like I'm trying to constantly justify who I am in my life. And it's like, no. And so it helped me take more of my power back. For over the year, I felt a little insecure about, what I'm doing, where I'm at, my happiness. Felt like I needed to explain myself more. Like, it just didn't feel fun. I wasn't happy. I was and I wasn't. But really, what this time has brought me, by pulling away, speaking my truth, being honest, going for a walk. And by the way, when you're walking, I just kind of saw this the other day. When you're walking and you're moving your legs and your arms, it's in a separate attachment of your brain. Like, your brain's connected to your body, obviously, but as you're in motion, like, you're processing with your brain. It's like a synchronicity. It's in sync, moving. Anyways, so that's what I was doing. And I started to share this with my friend, and I was talking about it. And I'm like, why do I care so much about what other people think? And the truth is, you shouldn't. You shouldn't, because it takes power away from you. When something takes power away from you, it's like you're worried about money, you're worried about this, you're worried about what people think about you. It's people pleasing. And when you're in your power, you are confident, comfortable. Who says you need certain things to do this? You don't. What I'm saying here is, I stopped caring what people think about me. If I care about what you think about me, that's a problem. It's a problem. And there's certain points, don't get me wrong, where you listen to other people's opinion, but when you take your power back, you are It's comfortable. It's good. It's self-love. You're confident with who you are in your authenticity, and you're not in your head. And I'm just speaking on my experience here. I'm not thinking, oh no, what are they going to think when I say this? And I learned more of the past couple days than I have in a while, just because I went for a walk. Yesterday I went for another walk. And as I'm learning more about taking my power back, I'm starting learning more, and learn more about taking your power back. Being careful of where you are spending your time mentally and emotionally. And the more you pull your power back with yourself, you are shifting into a different reality. You're shifting away from a different thing. You're living in the now. There's a different perception of what you're spending your time on, where you're putting your brain. If you keep, and this is something that I'm learning more about, depending on what you're doing, and I'm not saying this to be negative, I'm just giving you kind of the thoughts here. If you're someone who's constantly on your phone and it's like a dopamine thing and you're being distracted, and that's what the Matrix really wants. The Matrix wants you to be distracted. It wants you to be super divided. It wants to be super, super divided. Now, I'm not saying the Matrix, I think more of it's people. People want to pull your energy elsewhere. But when you unplug yourself, per se, from spending so much time on social media, you're starting to think for yourself. You're starting to pull your power back. You're starting to not be over here. You're shifting your consciousness. And that's important. Taking your power back. And I want you to keep thinking about that. When you are letting someone make you feel some type of way, that means you're letting them have more power over you. If you are investing in, swiping away on your phone, you're losing your energy. You're not using your brain. You're being distracted from yourself. And that's something that I kept becoming aware of more and more, is empowering yourself, self-awareness. Think for yourself. I mean, I don't believe in everything that everyone says. I don't care how much you want to point out like super facts. I'll be like, cool, thanks. And what I believe is what I believe. What you want to believe is what you want to believe. I'm not going to sit here and throw a bunch of facts at you I don't need you to agree with me. I don't need people to agree with me. What I believe in is what I believe in. We can still be cool. But the truth is that the more we take our power back, the more we have to think for ourselves. Otherwise, we're going to keep letting other people's beliefs and things be thrown at us. And honestly, you're going to be more authentic. You're not influenced by the wrong things. You're not trying to be someone else. You're not trying to do something because someone else is doing it. You're doing it because you're doing it, and you feel some type of way about it, and this is who you are. Spiritually, mentally, physically, and emotionally. Taking your power back is one of the biggest things. You're stepping away from fear. When you feed into fear, you're creating that reality the more you think about it. The more you think and feel about something, the more you create it. So I kept realizing this, and something else that kind of brought me into this self-empowerment is letting go. And letting go has been something I didn't realize I had an issue with it, but I struggled with it, letting go. I want to explain why the best way possible from what I remember, what I know right now at this time, as I'm learning more. Letting go of people, letting go of the past emotions, letting go of what I've been through, difficulties, letting go of whatever has bothered me in the past overall. And all these things that I have learned to let go of, or I needed to, was really necessary. I don't think we realize how much we carry with ourselves that we have not let go of. And for me, it was time to let go. And I think a lot of us struggle in a different way with, well, how do I do this? Kind of like in the beginning, like, how do you do this? And there's been different scenarios for me where emotionally, I think in stages, I learned to let go. But I finally decided, you make a decision mentally. You talk with yourself. You learn with yourself. You become more aware of who you are than any. No one else can know who you are more than yourself. So I decided that I'm moving out further away from it. I'm done. I'm done with trying to make things happen with people. I'm not, quite honestly, I think that by speaking my truth with people helped me move forward. It helped me address things, not just with people, but with myself too later on. What is this really bothering me? And I realized that by taking your power back and letting go is saying, this no longer is bothering me. This person in the past, this thing that it happened. That's why a lot of people, you'll listen to videos and they'll say, be present. You're not anywhere here, but you're, I'm not trying to say it like that, but the reason why they're saying be present is because why worry about the past? You're not there. You're here, right? Why worry about the future? You're not there. You're trying to control it, but you're here. Be in the present moment. Being in the present moment is a mixture of different things. It's letting go of any attachments from the past and stop trying to control the future. Be in the present. Be happy. Be happy to be here now in this moment. Meaning, whatever's bothering you, that's disempowering you. We all want to be happy. And the issue is that when your internal or your inner being, because I believe in practice that your inner being is separate from your outer being, but it's all one of you. Your outer beings experience the reality. Your inner being is separate. That's your emotions and thoughts, but all encompassing. But your inner being is not going to be happy because there's something in your reality that you don't have, that's not lining up, it's not happening. You're expecting something, it's not working the way you're expecting, different reasons. But when you're attached to things, people, outcomes, your past can be ruining or causing problems in your present moment. There could be a person that you were dating and caused trauma, and you're not with that person, but you're dating someone later on. You're in the present moment, but you're still traumatized from the past and you haven't healed or let go of it. So you're in this moment. So my point that I'm saying is being in the present moment is being at peace. Financially, money, job, career. When you do this, you level up in a way. And the level upping in a way is an energetic thing. Think about your currency of your energy, your time, your currency. If you're divided in so many different ways, you're being diminished with your currency. You're going in so many different places. When you are self-empowered, you're not allowing a situation, a fear, a doubt, a worry to distract you. And think about your energy and the distraction, the disempowerment of someone making you feel some type of way. That's why I'd rather be I'd rather be blunt now. Hey, if I feel weird, hey, listen, just entertain me here. I feel some type of way. Can we talk about it? And then it's off my chest, and that's the goal here, to let go. And if you can't do that, ask yourself some questions. Why is this bothering me so much? Let it go. The more you disempower it, put it down. Your brain might want to go back to thinking about it. Oh, catch it, put it down. Don't let it keep occupying your mind. This is the thing I've been practicing and learning more about, is self-empowerment and not being distracted or care so much about what other people think. And that's really the whole thing here with what I've been really learning the past couple of days. The other thing that, the last episode that I shared with you has been about the past. It was basically me coming to terms with the past, more closure for myself. Um, and that's something that we sometimes need to process. We go over things that we've been through and we're ready to look at it and make peace with it. What's the pros and cons of what you've been through? And a lot of people are looking for happiness, and we're looking for being better at what we're doing, practicing. But a lot of the work that needs to happen is emotional. It's emotional, it's mental. And when you clear this within you, it's enlightenment. The more you become enlightened, the more of a channel you are, the more of a light you are. You're enlightened. You're lightening yourself, and the weight is lifted. Negative energy is very dense. So when you find things that you're triggered by, that you want to avoid, you're angry with, ask yourself, why is this really bothering me? What do I need to learn about it? Sit with it. Because a lot of times, and there's several people that, even myself at times I've noticed, I didn't want to do it. We don't want to go through the negative feeling because our brain's saying we don't want to address it. Most people don't. Most people don't want to address the negative feeling. Your brain's like, your subconscious mind's like, no, I don't want to do that. But it's the best thing you can do. It's like when you finally get up and start making decisions. It's like I had enough. I really want to know what I need to do. And sometimes it's like me. The other day, I got up and started walking around and taking a walk, and I really started processing things I didn't process before, or I should have, or I wanted to, and I didn't. Being authentic has been such a big topic for me recently, with speaking my truth with people and myself, really asking myself questions like, why do I care what people think? Because otherwise, I'm not authentic. I'm trying. And I started to think more about that. Why am I trying to be someone? And, when did I stop and being myself and start trying? And it's really because I feel that I was trying to people please. I wanted people to like me. And I don't, it's a very odd thought to. It's like, well, I don't like myself, so let me get people to like me. And, it's an awareness thing, but that's a really good awareness to eventually just go, you know what? I don't need anyone to like me. And that's something that I learned too, or relearned. It's that I don't need anyone to like me. I'm not here to like make friends all the time. I'm not here to, if you're going to like me, you're going to like me for who I am. You're not going to like me for everything you don't have to like me for everything I do. I'm not going to limit myself anymore is really the message here. And that's the message for you as well. In all aspects, whether that's empowering yourself, speaking your truth is sometimes, honesty and speaking how you really feel. This is how you made me feel. This is how I really feel. I'm sorry I got to cancel my plans with you, or, hey, like, not for nothing, but I don't know where you've been the past couple months. I am who I am. And the biggest message I can share with you here, whether you're listening months, years later, or, whenever you're listening to this, stop being afraid to say and do and be who you really are. And that means your emotions are valid. But stop, people pleasing. Stop limiting yourself on who you really are. Don't try to be something else. You could be who you are, which is even better. And the other thing too is the work, sometimes you don't want to do it, but do it. And what I mean by that is talking with yourself, asking yourself some real questions. How do I really feel about this? What do I really want to do? I couldn't avoid it anymore. And I'm glad I didn't. That being myself. So stop avoiding yourself. Not everyone's going to like you. You don't have a perfect past. Either do I. I've made mistakes with people, relationships, friendships, money, business, but the truth is that how else are we going to learn to be better people if we don't learn through challenges and difficulties and make mistakes? But not everyone is going to approve of what that looks like, and I don't need to prove myself to people. Neither do you. We don't have to sit here and be like, here's my past, but I'm a And I think a lot of people sometimes do that. Well, we'll try to like date someone new or meet new people and want to tell them the whole story. Here's my past, and I'm not upset, because of our past, we were hurt. For myself, with letting go, I believe everyone has stages in life. And think about it. Listen to this, right? Work with me here. The stages are we become vulnerable, confident. Here I am. And then you love people. And then someone out of the group or a couple people or whatever start poking you. You're like, ow. You're like, ow. Ow. So what do? You start closing off. And I did that. I started closing off because I didn't really have good boundaries. I didn't learn how to love unconditionally, but balance it out and not kind of lose myself. But I'm glad I did do it because I learned more. And we close off. And I think we're afraid to be vulnerable again. And being vulnerable isn't bad. It's more or less to love again, to love yourself again, to shine again, but with more experience and awareness. You're not going to meet the love of your life in a perfect scenario. You're not going to be whole. You're never going to be whole. You're going to learn how to find someone that's going to work with you because it's a journey. You're going to be constantly evolving and learning and experiencing and feeling. You want to find someone who's going to, I think a lot of people are like, well, you need to be whole. Yeah, you need to be whole, but you're not going to be perfect. You want to be self-aware and self-loving and not be someone who needs someone, but also someone who's going to enhance each other. They're going to enhance each other as a couple, but there's no perfect scenario. There's no perfect reality. So the more you let go of the reality that you're trying so hard to hold together, it's kind of like you're no longer that version of you anymore. And that's where I want to wrap this up. In order to be the new version of yourself or the version you wish to become, you're going to have to let go of the old versions of yourself that no longer serve you. And a lot of us want to focus on things that we're not completely sure of how that works, but I really want to enhance this more with you. I really want to talk about it a little bit more. Becoming the new version of you that you wish to be or have, or whatever that entails. That means that there's new habits, there's new thoughts, there's a new personality. I'm not saying that in a psychological way of which is mentally ill. I'm saying you literally have to evolve, which is psychologically a good thing, spiritually, mentally, physically, and emotionally. You start evolving and you are going to adapt new beliefs, new values, new insight. But in order to really do this, it involves decisions. It involves self-awareness. It involves addressing your feelings. But most importantly, it involves change. And I think for some people, change can be uncomfortable. What does that change look like? Maybe it's, for example, me. That change was saying how I really felt without worrying about how someone was going to receive that. Letting go of a lot of things, including, why do I care about what people think about me? Self-empowerment. All these are new habits. There's new ways of thinking. So for me, it was making better choices and learning to follow this direction that brought me here now. I think the challenges that it comes with becoming a new version is realizing who you really are and how wonderful that is, but at the same time, letting go of who you no longer are in a good way. What does that inner higher self want to guide you with? What does that direction look like? and taking those steps. For me, it was a walk. For me, it was pulling away from forcing or trying something to hopefully one day work, and maybe it will. But when you're like forcing it, hoping that one day it all just suddenly clicks, it could. But when you're forcing something constantly, it's unhealthy. And I want to bring you back to something I thought about and where this kind of sort of not really began, but a part of it started it. Not only did I speak my truth to someone, but this person also was doing stuff the same way that I was, in a slight way, where they were trying. There's nothing wrong with trying. I think we're afraid of failing. There's no such thing as failure. But we don't want to stop. It's kind of like you're holding up the building. Let me hold up the tower, the tower moment. Let me hold it up. Let me hold it up. But eventually you got to go, you know what? Something's not working. Let me not force it. Let it fall. So I pulled away. And so sometimes we think that people just come across our life and it's not pleasant, or we're like, oh man, I had to just leave. No, sometimes you got to look and go, you know what? Let me reflect on this. What do I need to see? And I realized it's kind of doing the same thing in a little way. I was like, I need to really stop and trying to do this and really just love myself, because there's more here. And quite honestly, I'm glad I did. Moving on is letting go of your past. Moving on is realizing not only people, but habits, thoughts, decisions that no longer serve you. But the goal here is to become the better version of yourself that loves yourself, that respects you, that knows that there's boundaries, that knows that you deserve better than maybe what you've been receiving. But there comes, awareness with this. I think a lot of times I see people that, it's very good, but it's also like, okay, they're like, I deserve better. You do. You are worthy of love. We're all worthy of love. And I think that's a great awareness. But I think where people falter, and because I say this for also myself, because I've experienced it, you can say that you are worthy of love, that you deserve better. But then some people keep expecting other people to bring this to them or show them. And this is where we need to validate ourselves. We really need to show ourselves to validate and prove and show that we are worthy of this. Not otherwise, we're going to keep waiting for the universe or someone to prove that. We need to change. Our energy needs to change. Our thoughts and consciousness needs to evolve. Otherwise, we're just getting angry and we keep repeating the loop. So what is it that maybe you are needing to not repeat anymore, but rather change the loop? I decided that I didn't want to keep doing things that weren't serving me, that weren't bringing me joy in some way. And all around, it really brought me to a better direction. It brought me to realizing that, you know what, I can love doing something and not get paid right away. I wanted this like instant gratification with like success. Like, okay, I'm doing this and I want to, like, that's it. And it's really not. It's really about love what you're doing. Love what you're doing. Things will follow. Just focus on what you're passionate with and things will follow. Like, what's the goal? Like helping people and sharing more. And that's what I've been doing. I'm not forcing something to bring me happiness. I'm not trying to control something. I love who I am. I'm in the moment more. I'm detached from worries, doubts, and fears and controlling things, people's judgment of me, people pleasing. Like, I'm going to be me. If I want to say it, I'm going to say it. I'm not here for the likes. I'm here to be me. And I think we need more people like that. I think people can get stuck on the past big time with grief, with the greatness that once came in the past. For me, it was like things used to be good, and it's like, all right, let it go. Let it go. Otherwise, you're not letting yourself be present. And so I encourage you to do that. I hope that you can find your ways to love yourself more, to realize that It might be work. It might be a little work. And it's like, oh, I don't want to do affirmations right now. I don't want to meditate right now. But the version of you that you're wanting to become loves you and needs you to do that. What you're willing to do for so many people, do that a little bit more for yourself. Do things that bring you joy. Write in a journal. Really start thinking differently. Kind of put yourself in a place where you're meant to think about things in a unique way. Sometimes it's about making tough decisions, but I want you to think about this as well. In the long term of things, how is it going to look for you? Realities can change with a decision. So your thoughts and fears, ask that question. What am I really afraid of? Because a lot of times we're afraid, and that's what brings in that hesitation of making choices. There's always a little risk. There's a leap of faith. There's doing things, but the best thing you could ever do is learn to empower yourself, to believe in yourself, to make choices for yourself. No one's going to know you more than yourself, but you have to learn through that. And what are you afraid of? Let go of whatever needs to be let go of and become the new version of you. And I hope you enjoyed this podcast, this episode. My name's Joe. Thanks for listening to Abandoned Planet, and I hope to hear from you guys as well. You're welcome to follow me on Facebook and TikTok. I go by the name A Millennial's Third Eye as well on there. And sometimes, I don't know, I change it up. I'll show up live one day, or maybe I don't for a while. I haven't been on in a minute, but I like hearing from you. I post things on Facebook. I post like funny memes that I like because I like them. You don't have to like them. And then, I share some information. I'm really big on my faith, my practice, my spiritual work, and not so much just like, this is going to sound negative, but I don't mean it that way. I'm not looking to post pictures of tarot cards. And I think we're all wanting to help people, but we should all remember something that's very important. One of the most powerful connective things that brings us together is realizing we are not alone. And what that means is something that you might feel is very detrimental, depressing, so you feel stuck alone. You find out someone else has gone through it or is experiencing it, and now you don't feel as alone. You feel more connected in a way where you can also learn and feel safe and feel more confident in loving yourself. That's what I believe we should all be doing more of, is really sharing our stories. How did you get through it? What are you going through right now? And then you find out, like, even if you didn't know how to get through it yet and you're going through it, there's people that either have been through it, are being supportive of you. We can have spiritual soul journeys here that aren't always pleasant. I've been there. So remember that. Rather than pushing tarot cards and trying to make money, be real. What are you struggling with? I think that's a big thing. We seem to like reach a peak of success sometimes, and then we forget, because I have, oh man, like I got to open up emotionally more, because that's really part of the gift here. I got to open up emotionally. I got to be raw in the sense of, because, there's people that are reading and they're not emotionally connected with themselves. And it's like, hello. That's why I'm saying pull away. Stop. Don't force anything. If you're forcing it or trying too hard, we have to learn. What is it? What am I not doing right? What do I need to learn? What am I not understanding here? And a lot of the times it's like, okay, you're not happy. Why? What's bothering you? What's that thing triggering you? We're all different. And I say this in a loving way. And I really want to see more people do this, especially people that, and I see, honestly, this is common. I see it with spiritual people doing spiritual work. Why? I've been there, but I see it's very common. It's like we don't want to do it the more of the work, but we have to. And then we forget, like, oh yeah, I got to be real. I got to be like authentic still. And that's the goal. We're all learning to stay authentic, be authentic, learn more about being authentic, being fearless. When you're fearless, you're not afraid of what can bother you, enter you consciously, mentally. Like, you're in your power. Who are you to judge? Who is someone else to judge you? So be in your power. Don't be afraid to be you, and share what's real. Love you all. Thanks for listening. And till the next time, next timeline. Peace.